So President Trump has announced that he's terminating the relationship between the United States and the World Health Organization. And the globalists are kicking off. So as we've seen last night in the BBC, there was a discussion about how this could have an impact internationally. We've also had reactions from a number of people. We had Christopher Snowden saying that the world needs a politically independent organization that is wholly focused on tackling infectious diseases. If the WHO is no longer able to serve that function, then money should be redirected to one which can. Now, today we are joined by the talk radio presenter Andre Walker to discuss this issue and a number of other things, including the fake stream broadcasters. So let's go to Andre. Hello, Andre. Welcome to the show.
This is my very first time properly on your channel. So I deliberately wore this t-shirt just because, I know how much you love the transatlantic partnership between Britain and America, Brexit, Trump, taking our countries back. So I just thought it was appropriate to wear that.
Absolutely. I'm surprised. I didn't even realize that, after all this time, it's the first time properly you've been on the show. So welcome.
Well, of course, I was there for your 100,000 subscriber party, which was an absolutely amazing thing. And it's amazing the way you've built this channel. And it's amazing to see when I met so many of the viewers, because they make this what it is. We would not be taking back control of this country if it wasn't for people sharing content like yours, if it wasn't for people campaigning on the streets. That is what is bringing our democracy back. That's what's fighting the European Union. That's what's opposing these globalist elites. That's what's moving from media organisations like the BBC, the legacy media, discredited people at Newsnight. And remember, we saw something from Emily Maitlis this week, which was just an absolute outrage, to the new guys on the block, the Maya Tousis, the Mike Grahams, the Andre Walkers, the Spiked Online. I think Brendan is doing a fantastic job over there. That's how we're taking the country back, and it's great to be a part of it.
Yes, we are going to be talking about this media stuff because everybody's kicking off. But what's your opinion on this whole Trump and WHO stuff? Are you backing President Trump on this?
Well, I think we've got a major problem, and I don't know how far this infection goes in terms of the politics of this. But let's be clear, the head of the World Health Organization is not a medical doctor. He's the first guy not to be a medical doctor to hold that position. He was put in place because he's a pro-China communist. And unbelievably, in his role at the World Health Organization, he gave he made Colonel Gaddafi a freedom ambassador, which I think is absolutely extraordinary.
I think Mugabe, wasn't it? I think
Robert Mugabe. No, sorry, there was also Libya was made, I think, given something else.
Yes.
Anyway, the point is, he's in the pocket of all these crazed dictators. Now, my concern actually is this. China did not put that guy in charge of the World Health Organization because they were concerned about an outbreak of the virus. I suspect this was part of a more general policy. Now, the state of Israel say that the UN Palestinian Committee is just there to bash them. Similarly, who are the World Health Organization? Who are the UN human rights people? Who are all of these international organizations, even down to NATO? There's been some concern that NATO is now not addressing the cybercrime concerns that we're worried about, but instead kind of doing things just for its own sake. All of these international bureaucracies, FIFA, UEFA, the International Olympic Committee, the World Health Organization, they are all dominated by these people who have absolutely no scrutiny over them whatsoever. And let's be clear on what the World Health Organization has done. It has praised China for what it's done. It covered up for China. It claimed that there was no human-to-human contact, no human-to-human infection. Yes, that's if you believe Iran, China and North Korea, three of the most corrupt, disgusting, despotic regimes in the world. But of course, if there's any opportunity to suck up to Britain or America's enemies, then we see the Corbynite political left and the guys at Newsnight and the BBC. They're right on it, desperate to criticize Trump, desperate to criticize Boris. But hey, let's not be rude to Kim Jong-un. After all, when he gets angry with people, he only sets wild dogs on them. What
Yeah.
a nice guy.
No, you're right. I think there's a bit of an issue because you mentioned a number of international bodies, including UEFA, FIFA, and none of these establishments have been successful with what they were supposed to be doing, and they always they're a bunch of control freaks that think everything has to be centralized and there shouldn't be any borders between anybody. There's no identity, and but it doesn't really work. So, do you think there is a way to basically just get rid of the WHO or just reform it, maybe?
Well, the argument has always been with these organisations, like the World Health Organization, well, look, we're not perfect, we're not great, but it'd be worse without us. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, in the case of the World Health Organization, they have actively prevented the action that needed to be taken against coronavirus by lying consistently and supporting the Chinese government. So as it stands, public health would be better if there was no World Health Organization. And I think that's an important step. I see a lineage between all of this. It started with the election it started with Brexit, then the election of Donald Trump, now the exposing of the World Health Organization. I think that this is a process of taking back democracy, taking back fairness, and taking back freedom. And I think we're starting to win.
I mean, you're right. The one issue is that some people are saying if America obviously leaves the WHO and a country that was primarily funding the whole thing, then the whole thing will collapse anyway. These are the final days of this organization. And the issue is the mainstream media are very supportive of these international bodies, all these centralized bodies, and also they are kind of exposing themselves these days. You've seen the BBC Newsnight issue with Emily Maitlis, and then Sky News going after the civil servants, the medical officers for Boris Johnson. Do you think people are abandoning the mainstream media now?
Well, look, Maya, I said at the beginning of this, look at the success of your channel. There are now major news outlets that have fewer viewers on their YouTube than you. In fact, there's a fair number of them. In fact, probably I would guess most of them. And similarly, the number of subscribers is larger than most mainstream media outlets. There's no doubt, but it's not about people walking away from the mainstream media, because we listen to people say that all the time. What it's all about, it's a group of elitists have taken over these organisations and they are not serving the people anymore. A great example, the Mail on Sunday during the Brexit referendum supported Remain. Now, I'm yet to meet a Daily Mail or Mail on Sunday reader who is a socialist who wishes to abolish their country. And yet, under the great leadership of Geordie Greig and my good friend Simon Walters, they supported Remain. It's absolute nonsense, and no wonder the readership now is tanking of the Daily Mail when these same guys who supported Remain have now taken it over. They've moved from the Mail on Sunday to the Daily Mail. Similarly, Emily Maitlis wants to turn up on TV with Lewis Goodall running a highly partisan attack on a week-in, week-out basis against people who supported Brexit and against the Conservatives. What's going to happen? People are going to stop watching. But my concern specifically about the BBC is this. Lewis Goodall and Emily Maitlis and all those guys from Newsnight, they don't care that nobody watches because their little chums in Hampstead, their little liberal elite media friends are all going to watch it, and we, the British taxpayer, have to finance it. No more. I don't understand why Emily Maitlis gets subsidised and the Maya Tousi channel doesn't. Frankly, you're more popular than she is. You're serving a market that she's not serving. And therefore, if there's subsidies to be put round, let's be fair about it. But of course, you're not asking for a subsidy. Why? Yep. Because your product is interesting enough for you to pay the bills yourself. Yep. That's the difference between you and Newsnight.
Yeah, and I'm not a socialist. I don't believe in subsidies in general. And I think the two problems we have with the mainstream media, as you said, one is the people in charge, the cabal right now. Secondly, is because there's no problem, there are no issues with the mainstream media as a concept, structure of big media being out there, broadcast, the press. I think one issue is the people in charge. If we could get rid of those people, better people will be in charge of those stations and outlets. Second problem is the way it's all structured. The BBC with the charter, Ofcom with other channels, they force them to try to be impartial. And I've always been against it because I would rather have channels and the press, obviously newspapers, to be open and free. Be honest that you're left-leaning, you're right-leaning, you're whatever. And people can decide for themselves. They could watch a right-wing channel, then they could also watch a left-wing channel, and then they could do the research themselves and form an opinion, rather than someone saying, I am the god of truth, you have to believe me, this is just facts, but in reality it's biased. I don't like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've seen on Twitter is the fact checkers. Now, the fact checkers, what they do is, and this is why Donald Trump called them the most dishonest people of them all. The reason they're the most dishonest people of them all is there can be nothing more dishonest than lying about your credentials. And so the fact checkers will constantly say, I'm completely unbiased. I'm just here because I'm completely neutral. Actually, they're all left-leaning. They're all pro-Europeans. And so what they do is they attempt to come up with facts to debunk what we say. Now, they are successful or they're not successful in certain cases. And I'm not saying that nobody on our side has ever misspoken. Yeah. But actually what they're trying to do is crush people that view this channel into submission. So basically, anytime you say anything, it will be fact-checked to the nth degree. So I remember once they fact-checked me on the following thing. I asserted that the European Union is a country. Now, I have a degree in political science. I stand by that it is a country. Now, my reasons for saying that are numerous, and I'm not going to explain them all. And yet I got pages and pages of explanations that it wasn't actually a country. It was torturous. And what, of course, I did, and this is where I was stupid, I wasted my time answering them. And the aim here is to waste your time answering these questions and to discourage you from ever saying anything again. Because you know that 5 or 6 of these fact checkers will spend all their day doing it. We need to ignore those people, and we need to stand by our guys by blocking the fact checkers and just completely ignoring them. I think people like you and I can lead on that. Oh, by the way, I should say something else to you. If you can see me fidgeting with this hand, it's because I burnt it earlier making my morning fry up, and I've got a large piece of ice that I'm holding. So apologies for that.
Brilliant. I was wondering. No, that makes more sense now. But that's fine.
By the way, Saturday is fry up day. Forget this vegan diet. Forget the keto thing. Forget any of this sort of rubbish. Look, what you have to be is big, blonde, and beautiful, baby. That's what we right wing. You know, when I worked at the House of Commons in the press gallery, there always used to be sort of a meat dish and like a vegan dish, and I always used to walk in and go, it's a fillet steak for the right wingers and a mushroom phyllo for the left wingers. To be fair, it was true. It was true.
Oh God, yeah, good old days of the press gallery. So I mean, there's a lot obviously to talk about, and I think things are about to change in the next few weeks with the media, with Brexit, with the lockdown stuff. So hopefully, actually, the way things are going, we might be able to do the next episode in person, even if I have to kind of do a bit of social distancing for the sake of it. Otherwise, we'll do it again like this. So thanks again for coming on the show. And
well, Maya, we don't do enough of this together, and I appreciate your viewers. They were fantastic to me at that party for 100,000 subscribers. So I'd just like to tell them to keep kicking on with what they're doing. We're winning this battle. We are taking the globalists to task, and we are taking this country back. And long may that continue.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming, and thanks again, everybody, for watching. The members of the channel, if you haven't seen, go on the community page on YouTube. I have posted a surprise for you guys. As you know, the free speech tour that we started in London. Andre was there and hosted it. We were going to do Manchester, and obviously that got postponed, but we're going to bring it back and we're going to go around the country. But in the meantime, I do have a surprise for the members who've been supporting the channel. So if you're not a member, then check out the link in the description, or go on your browser and type in youtube.com/myotc/join. And for the members, just go check it out.